Go live. Going live. Now I'll refresh on the main. All right, and that's live. I'll mute you. And pop chat out. All right. What's up, folks? I think we are live. Let us know, please, in the chat if you can hear us. Just give it a little while to see. There we go. Kristen Cray. Hey. What's up, Kristen? Here with Stephen Chin. You guys, if you don't know, he's the man behind Hello Custom, which is basically revolutionizing the personalization game as it applies to Etsy. Etsy so far, right? Like it's on its way up and out.
Yeah, we're starting on Etsy. We're going to be launching an Amazon integration here pretty soon. And the big opportunity, we're getting tons of inquiries, is Shopify. So it's going to be Etsy, Amazon, Shopify here pretty soon.
Nice. I'm excited for that too. Yeah, there's been a few people talking about, diversifying off of Etsy in different ways, and Shopify's been a big one. TikTok Shop, of course, has been a big one. But me being from Canada, for example, I don't have access to the TikTok Shop yet. It's US only for the moment. But that said, I'm looking forward to the Amazon Seller Central bit. So that'll be a nice integration, right? Literally the world's biggest marketplace. So far, TikTok
I think there's going
looks
to
to be a game changer.
Yeah, for the Amazon one, I think there's going to be a learning curve. A lot of people are already selling on Shopify, so I think there's going to be a quicker adoption to that one. But I think in terms of like where's 2024 going to look like, or 2025, 2026, I think Amazon's going to be the next big opportunity compared to Etsy, because millions and millions, like 10 million people have launched an Etsy print-on-demand business in the last year, 18 months. No one's launching a print-on-demand Amazon store, but that's just as big of an opportunity, just as big of a marketplace. It just isn't an easy way to do it. It's like Printify does not have an integration with Amazon yet, but when they do, I think we're all going to flood over to Amazon, have that learning curve, and then have a similar growth that Etsy had over the last couple of years for a lot of people.
For sure, and that's kind of where I'm hoping to position myself too, in terms of being able to help educate that way. I want to be, I sell a lot actually. For those of you who don't know, I do. I'm also on Amazon's own POD platform, so Merch by Amazon, and I do fairly well there. It's overtaken my Etsy with minimal effort. Now it's just kind of like keeping the wheels greased, sort of, proverbial wheels greased. But I have a few trademarks, and their bots are so overzealous when it comes to protecting, people's intellectual property. And while that could be, usually that's a blessing, but I'm getting rejected for my own stuff, and then I'm back and forth with their support, proving that it is my own IP, in order to just be able to list my stuff. And then I'll list 5 new designs. The 6th one will get rejected again. I'll go through that again, right? And when you're doing a lot of like occasion stuff or year centric, right, like birthday stuff, kind of, for example, you only get so far, and then you're kind of shut down. So to be able to list on Amazon Seller Central, where it's ultimately still the Wild West in that sense, where it's like Etsy, you can list anything and they'll only, remove your listings if somebody complains. I think that's the logical next step for me that way. I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, it's really funny because like Amazon's like this like behemoth of a third-party marketplace, but it is a love-hate relationship. There are a lot of things people love, and there's a lot of things that people hate. I think there's gonna be a big, again, learning curve going from Etsy, where there's a lot more freedom and openness and flexibility, going over to Amazon, where it's a little bit more rigid. But again, I think it's a huge opportunity. And we're not referring to like Amazon merch. We're referring to like selling print products from like Printify, FBM, which is fulfilled by merchants, so not Prime, on the marketplace as a product.
Yeah, POD as you all know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the same thing you're doing on Etsy, but now on Amazon, I think I think Printify will be coming out with integration here mid-year, and then Hello Custom will come out with an integration for Amazon here pretty shortly.
Yeah, looking forward to every single ounce of all of that. What's up, folks? So it looks like we got a few people in here now. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm here with Stephen from Hello Custom. we are, this is one of my new series. I'm going to be live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. So if you guys have any questions, POD related, mindset, the whole game, graphics related, artistically related, fire away, drop them in the chat, and we'll bounce them, off each other, and get you some, honest and real answers to your questions as in the best way we know how, right? Steven, why don't you say what's up and introduce yourself?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Thank you so much for Jay having me on your channel. So just a quick 30-second background on myself for those of you who do not know me. I've been selling on Etsy, selling personalized print products for 3 years now. In those 3 years, I've sold over 220,000 products. We just broke the $3 million revenue mark. So we were a top Etsy seller in the world, again, only selling personalized print products. From that, our biggest pain point in our business was, again, personalization, where that's a very manual part of the business. But I think I owe a lot of my success to that. So we actually launched Hello Custom, which is our new project, our new product, which is the first ever software that automatically personalizes your Etsy print-on-demand business products, where if someone buys a personalized product on Etsy, you no longer have to go to Canva, edit it, go over to Printify, update the order. When it ships, update the tracking back over to Etsy, mark it as complete. The AI automates everything. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last year. It's going very, very well. Like I mentioned, we sold over 220,000 products on Etsy. So if you have a question, I've probably experienced it. I went to college for engineering, so I love to lift up the hood and kind of tinker around. And again, I've experienced anything and everything you can throw at us. So any questions, any sticking points that you guys have, this is what these AMAs are for. Is again, you're stuck on your point right now. Jay's probably experienced it. We're here to help you guys get past that. So again, fire away with these questions. Happy to offer some value.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me, Steven. It's great. It's always great to chat, right? We're always chatting a little bit beforehand too, behind the scenes, and it's just a privilege, man. Steven and I, for those of you who don't know, got to meet at Amplified, which was Printify's POD summit over in Riga, Latvia. So, privileged to have been invited there and be, I guess, bumping elbows with everybody that you all find and follow right now. So it's a pretty special thing. So, yeah. And then to Steven's note, there's not much I haven't experienced either. I'm 10 years seasoned in terms of print on demand. So I've actually seen the industry grow here. Looks like we got a few questions coming in. So why don't we get to it? Is there another POD provider you recommend other than Printify? I'm waiting to sell blankets, but the top 3 sellers on Etsy have prices cheaper than I can purchase on Printify in every size category. I don't sell blankets yet. I'm looking at the adding those because I'm seeing everywhere that everyone's customizing them with names and stuff. So I haven't actually shopped outside of Printify yet for the Sherpa blankets or anything like that. Do you know of any? Because you guys had your own print
Production. So
production studio. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still in it right now. We're kind of closing down shops. We can focus full time on Hello Custom, but we have a 3,000 square foot warehouse, tons of employees. We did everything in house, still print on demand, meaning that we had all of our inventory as white. We'd make the product upon the demand of the sell. But typically, if you find a print product on Etsy that is cheaper than you can find on Printify, typically Printify has one of the cheapest pricing because they have a ton of different providers per product, and they're always kind of fighting to be the cheapest, so they rank higher to get you as a customer. So by default, they're always getting cheaper. But if you find a print product on Etsy where it just doesn't add up in terms of the cost on Etsy, they're probably doing it themselves. They probably just bought a 4-foot, 3-foot heat press, buying white polyester blankets from China, heat pressing it themselves. For example, onesies is a great product to be selling on Etsy. Not profitable if you're buying it from Printify. Dog tags is a great product, not profitable. So there's a lot of products that do very, very well. They're just not profitable with print on demand with Printify because they're doing it themselves. This is the name of the game. There's some products that just won't work.
Yeah, there's one thing, if I could do it all again, and having had my own print equipment for a couple of years there, would be doing light colored garments, so your baby blues and your pinks and your the sand type colors and the off whites in baby garments or children's garments, because the print cost is so low, the prints themselves are so small. You can print CMYK only on the whites and stuff, so you're not using all the white ink that you would in DTG typically, which is where 80% of the ink cost is in your white inks, and it's less maintenance on the machines too. So kind of interesting to think and look back of you can print on white all your Christmas designs on white shirts, sweatshirts, and just make a killing. You know, if you're the problem with, I guess, doing your own thing is having to invest in all the equipment, right? But yeah, we were able to recoup in after one Q4 our investment. So it is lucrative if you ever wanted to do your own. It's just a matter of if you want to be working in your business or be able to work on it from a laptop, you know, wherever you want to be.
And then just really quick on that note, if I could go back, I would do print on demand. There's tons of overhead, like he's mentioning. You got to buy before I could even launch a product, a category. We had to buy the equipment, we buy the inventory, we had to learn how to make it, how to use the equipment. We'd be 4 months of waiting for all that to come in, tens of thousands of dollars invested to just test to see if it even worked. Versus Printify, you can have it live in an hour. A lot of the people, mine and Jay's connections, like I compare, like, hey, how much did you make profit 2023? And there's some people who are doing print on demand that made more profit than me. So it's like, I would start print on demand 100%. And if you want to bring it in house after you have success, that's when, if I were to go back in time, that's what I would do. I would start POD first.
That's super smart, because you're absolutely hit the nail on the head there. It was like months of testing to make sure. And then when you introduce a new garment, or you go from a Gildan soft style, like 100% cotton, to a blend like a Bella, there's different amounts of pre-treat, there's different color saturation settings, there's all kinds of different things that and we see all the complaints in groups about different providers, right, from one to the other. So there's a large portion of the process is manual. So I would probably argue the same, right? Don't invest in all the equipment until you've at least dabbled in print on demand. And honestly, I think that's what I would do from the get-go too, is just continue with that. But in our case, COVID hit and we were kind of stuck, so we couldn't travel. So it was like, what do we do to just keep going, right? So yeah, I don't know, it worked out for us. But yeah, it's a lot of headache, a lot of overhead, and I don't wish that on anybody. Inventory, the space you need. But the next question here I see from April is confused by Amazon Merch versus Seller Central versus Amazon. So Amazon Merch is Amazon's own, it's actually called Amazon Merch on Demand, used to be called Merch by Amazon. It's their own sort of print on demand platform, similar to a Redbubble or a TeePublic, whereby you would list your design across an array of products and they print, package, and ship. There's no customer service, that sort of thing. So it is nice. It's less work at the end of the day than your Etsy's or Shopify's, but it can take a while to get the conversion wheel kind of going. Seller Central is your access to Amazon proper. So there's FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant. There's FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. So fulfilled by merchant would be what you're looking at in terms of print on demand, where you are responsible for making sure and processing orders and that sort of stuff. Very similar to what you would do with a Shopify or Etsy. Where fulfilled by Amazon, which is FBA, is where you would send a skid full or a pallet of 100 products or 1,000 products of black XL t-shirts, and they would SKU them and tag them, and then they ship from their warehouse. So that's where you enter the prime realm, right? Yeah, and that again just takes money and overhead. An investment there.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job explaining that. Again, I think a lot of the training and stuff like that will come like when that opportunity kind of arises. So I wouldn't get too confused on that now, because like right now we're also on Etsy. So I would just like try to keep your bandwidth limited to what's working today. The next question is, hey, I was spending my full $500 per day ad budget during the Christmas with one product category. My conversion rate was 7.6% all time. There's scope for more listings in this category. Shall I open a new shop? So during the Christmas rush, there's like 10 times, 100 times more people shopping. And in terms of Etsy ads, it's paid per click, so it's all proportional. Right? If there's 100 times more people searching for certain search terms, you will spend 100 times more budget, right? So I always hit my max budget during the Christmas rush, and then also during the Christmas rush, everyone's like late gifters. So it's like Christmas is next week. I need a gift. I don't care what it is, they buy. So conversion rate will also tend to like go up like 25-30%. So it is very, I think, natural to see, hey, I spent $500 in ad spend, my conversion rate was 7.6% during the Christmas rush. So I wouldn't justify that for opening up a completely new shop. I would again, I'm a big believer in just having one Etsy shop that I call like a hybrid store. You put all your products, different, shirts, apparel, mugs, phone cases, all in one shop, all of your niches in one shop. And again, we ramped that to $3 million in the last 3 years. So I wouldn't try to segment off different shops. I haven't seen that lead to more sales, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answers your question. I would just keep in the same shop, and just if the niche is working, you can launch more designs within the single shop.
More designs, more products if you need to. But congrats on a 7.6 conversion rate. That's more than double the average, almost 3 times the average for as far as e-commerce goes in the fashion end of it, right, in the garment segment. So congrats on that. You're doing something right. So I don't know, but to Steven's point, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ultimately, I would just keep going with what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm very curious what your numbers were for the Christmas rush. That is very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So drop that in the chat if you want, for sure, Suhani there. Michelle's saying, Steven, I logged on just to hear you talking about the upcoming Printify integration for Amazon. Well, perfect timing then. For personalized products, will you need to use Amazon Custom for that?
Yeah, so again, I'm not super familiar with Amazon as much as I am on Etsy. When we had an Amazon marketing agency, none of it was for customization, but I think you might have to have like your own brand to be Amazon Custom. So yes, you can have Amazon Custom, but I don't think you need it. I think you can sell custom products without it. But yeah, I think Amazon Custom is very nice because it allows you to have more, like on Etsy, for example, you can only have like a text box, like you say personalized yes or no with a toggle box, and then they just have to enter in all the information. With Amazon Custom, it's really cool because you can create multiple different layers. Like you can select a pattern, and then it has like actual pictures of the different patterns. You can select actually an image for the patterns. You can select different fonts. It's actually maybe like what the font actually looks like. So it gives you way more control over the experience to the customers, which is actually really nice. I prefer that over the Etsy's experience.
Yeah, it's a lot. But to your point too, I think like you can there's also the Amazon Handmade if you wanted to go that route, where you have the flexibility to offer the personalized stuff. So I would get your feet wet. Just personally, I would get my feet wet, or what I intend to do with the Fulfilled by Merchant, the FBM, before I try to do anything crazy above and beyond. Maybe just customizing a name. But like when you started to get into all the things that you are able to offer, you also, I mean, the risk factor goes up for all the the nails on the head and the I's to dot and T's to cross, right? So I would get a solid understanding and grasp of the platform before you try to go over the top.
I'm gonna pitch you a question really quick. So back when we were in Riga, Latvia, doing the Amplified event with Printify, Jay was a part of this conversation with Joe from POD Ninjas about Shopify versus Etsy. Which one do you recommend, pros versus cons? So that was one of the questions. Etsy versus Shopify, pros and cons. Which one do you prefer?
Oh man, and you're probably going to be in the same camp, but Etsy as a beginner, just for ease of use, you can scale Shopify to the moon, sure, but you're talking, you're sharing the screen with me right now, and you guys are looking at a guy who's done $3 million in like under not about 3 years, right? Like it's, this guy's doing on average $1 million a year. So to tell me that you need Shopify to scale is almost blasphemous in a funny way. But I think honestly, you're walking into a mall, which is the Etsy platform, and you've got all your shops lined up there. So the people are there with their wallets in hand, ready to buy, right? With Shopify, for example, you have to be bringing all your own traffic. And the analogy I kind of made in Latvia there was that you're basically, interrupting, if a customer is like scrolling through their feed or whatever they're doing, they're on the information highway, and you're literally trying to interrupt them and get them to pull off into the dealership now, which would be your Shopify store, and then convince them with retargeting to make a purchase. And the average consumer needs to be retargeted 7 or 8 times, right, before they the average consumer anyway. So if you bang up marketing, you might only have to retarget 4 or 5 times, but that's still 4 or 5 ad clicks. That's still 4 or 5 different avenues, streams of marketing that, or channels of marketing that you're going to have to target with. So when it comes to Etsy, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's at worst, it's the best testing ground, right? Put your bangers up on Amazon or Shopify, and then that they're going to work for a 20-cent listing. It's hard to beat, I think, that way. What are your thoughts that way?
Yeah, so it's so I'll kind of give you my opinion on it. So I love third-party marketplaces. Third-party marketplaces are like Etsy, Amazon, technically Walmart, eBay, but like again, Etsy and Amazon are my two favorite. Technically, a majority of Printify's top sellers are selling on Shopify versus Etsy, so that keep that in mind. But very similar to the conversation we just had in regards to like when you're getting started, do you do print on demand with Printify, or do you buy the equipment, open up a warehouse? Like you might make a little bit more profit here, but you're just getting started. I recommend Printify because again, it's like your bandwidth. How much time do you have a day? You're one person. Like on Printify, you're just focusing on designs. Like you're just launching listings. Printify takes care of production. When you're doing it yourself, it's like you have to buy the inventory, the equipment, you have to learn. You're working on the back end and the front end, so it's kind of bogs you down and slows you down. The same thing with Etsy versus Shopify. On Shopify, you have to learn how to do Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads. You have to learn how to do sales copy. You have to go learn how to build a website. You have to learn how to all of that. Versus on Etsy, again, you're just creating designs because they bring you the traffic. You just turn on ads. It's a click of a button. So in terms of like things to learn, things that you have to become expert at to have the same effects. Again, there's a lot less on Etsy than there's in Shopify. So my opinion would be start on Etsy, scale that to the moon. When you're like, hey, I kind of hit the ceiling, which again, the ceiling might be $1 million a year. So if you're still growing and you haven't hit $1 million a year, double down on Etsy. And then when you hit that, then again, like Jay said, get your bangers and go launch a Printify shop. So I would do that secondarily.
And yeah, I mean, well said. I think in fairness, I have to throw some cons out there. So the problem with Etsy is, and we've seen it, overzealous bots again, right? People getting listings pulled for having mock-ups that are in high use because the bots have equated those listings with potentially the Temus and the Shines of the world, and thinking that Etsy sellers might be, selling some bootleg stuff or some Chinese drop shipping or stuff like that. Meanwhile, a lot of those sellers have had their listing photos ripped off by those sites. So the overzealous bots, there's a multitude of ways Etsy has kind of made it difficult for sellers, introducing the, what do you call it? The payment, where they're holding the payment there. It's escaping my brain right now, but, and then shops getting shut down randomly, right? So there's a lot there that you can't control. You're kind of playing in their sandbox. They can shut you down at any time. Not that I've ever been shut down, in 10 plus years now. It's not been an issue that way for me, but again, I play by the rules. So just make sure that you reread that seller handbook and you should be okay. But that said, with a Shopify, it's kind of like the Wild West of the internet. You control everything. You can list whatever you want, legal or not, and it's up to somebody out there to kind of come at you with, the bankroll of a lawyer out there to have that put down. And it's not something I would obviously encourage. I don't want to see anybody, breaking the law or doing anything like that. But you're not at risk for Etsy mistakenly taking your stuff down, or people, scamming the system and trying to give you unvalidated copyright cease and desist and stuff like that, right? Copyright takedown. So there's a lot of pluses to running your own thing, but I think the biggest con on the Shopify end is having to, drive all that traffic yourself.
Exactly. So in short, start Etsy, print on demand through Printify, and then just kind of go, and then just kind of take it day by day and go from there. Sahani has some really good questions. And I kind of like Sahani really, so far, because she's asking some really, really more, again, high level questions in regards to like tacos versus ROAS. So she says, a new product category. How did you manage 4 products with $1,000? How many days in the year did you spend $1,000 to ROAS versus tacos? Tacos is essentially your total sales compared to your ROAS. So your total organic sales compared to your ad spend, because ad spend leads to organic rank, which leads to total sales. Improve in the next season for a listing and make space for new listings. So for me personally, I sold in 4 different product categories, but I wasn't like apparel where people have like 1,000, 2,000 listings for just that one product category. I have my market research process where, which is on my YouTube channel if you guys want to watch it, where I only have to launch about 100 to about 150 designs per product category to have that product category be multiple 6 figures successful. So 4 product categories was only like 400 listings. So $1,000 ad spend for 400 listings was plentiful during the Christmas rush. And during non-Christmas season, we only spend about a couple $100s per day because it's pay per click. So if there's lower demand during non-peak seasons, you just get less clicks and therefore you spend less per day. So we weren't hitting that $1,000 every single day. And what I see on my end, I think we spent like $250,000 in Etsy ads over the 3 years. Our ROAS which is essentially how much money we spent in ads to get a sale from that ad, was 30%, which is about break even for print on demand or a little bit negative. But we spent that money to drive organic rank and get sales with our organic listings. And therefore our tacos was about 13%. So we're spending 13%, and I think print on demand average is about 25%. So we're spending money, and on that money we were making, again, what is that, 17% profit.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Next season for listing and make space for new listings. Yeah, so you kind of just capped out, right? Once you hit that 400, like 100 products per category, or 100 listings per product.
Yeah, exactly, because it comes to a point where it's like, is there more opportunity to launch another product category and get more best sellers versus just trying to launch more designs that have diminishing returns on it? Because again, not every single design is a winner, so we try to only launch the winners and not the okays and not the bad ones. And it kind of averaged out to be about 100. It's about 150 per product category. Again, that we didn't sell apparel. With apparel, the sky is the limit. You can sell in any niche, any design, any holiday. So it's like we'd probably be selling 500 listings if it was apparel, but for other non-apparel products, the window is a little bit smaller in terms of like what you needed to launch listings for.
Nice. Hello from Michigan. Wishing I was in Belize right now. Yeah. We are doing well down here. It's actually, it's beautiful, and I'm still kind of getting used to how warm it is every day. It's almost like I don't want to lose, that novelty, right? But yeah, it's been beautiful. Sorry about Michigan. You guys are having the same weather we're having in Manitoba. Hello out there. It's even worse out there. You guys are minus 50 Celsius. I don't even know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's cold. It's like minus 20 Fahrenheit or something like that.
I think the next the next 4 questions are Hello Custom questions, so I'm just going to grab those really quick. So someone says they love using Hello Custom. Thank you so much. 2 of the 4 questions, or that was one of them. 2 of them are, can we use Hello Custom to do the custom sleeve prints? So with that one, you will be able to do that in about 1 week. So right now, Hello Custom doesn't know how to do multi-graphic products in regards to, like, there's a graphic on the sleeve and then there's a graphic on the chest. This is the personalized graphic. This might just be like, world's best mom. The system isn't smart enough today to know which graphic is which and then which one to replace, because we didn't map that inside of Hello Custom. Right now we're adding image recognition logic, so it'll know which graphics inside of Hello Custom. It'll look at this graphic. It'll look at this graphic, say, hey, it's this one, and then replace this one, right? So we're about a week out from adding that one. We decided to add that feature because everyone's launching these custom sleeve sweatshirts that are taking off. So I would just hold off for a week, or you can launch it, because it still takes about a week to get indexed and ranked and things like that. If you sell 1 or 2, just do it manually, and then when we add that feature, just add it to Hello Custom. So very, very soon, we've been working on that for you guys for that specific product. The next one was saying that they sell in Canada and the US. They manually approve their orders so that way they can choose the print providers instead of Printify based on location. So we send orders to Printify just like how Etsy sends orders to Printify, where if on Printify your settings is automatic 1 hour, it follows the same settings, or if it's manual, it's the same settings. So we will push the order over to Printify, and if your settings are manual, it'll just be sitting there as manual for you to choose the print provider. So there'll be no issue there in terms of you wanting your settings on manual. That's a Printify setting.
That's fantastic. That's a great way to leverage, to create a better customer experience too. Because if you can fulfill from anywhere closer to that customer's address, it's going to make for less shipping costs, less time in transit, all around better customer experience too. Rhonda Wright says, hello, does Hello Custom have an option for personalized sleeve, and is popular right now? Oh, we've already done that one? No.
Yeah, there's two. There's 2.
Oh, it's 2 of the same. How does it rearrange multiple names on the sleeve or account for a few names versus? Okay, so you kind of touched on that already. Not there yet. I want to buy a bunch of blanket samples. I'd love to get a price break. Yeah.
So in regards to the second half of this question, really quick, how does it rearrange multiple names on the sleeve or account for a few names versus many names? So if it's so for example, on the graphic, it'd probably just be like a text element, and then you tag that text element as name. So however the shopper types it in, if they type it in, like Jay, Steven, Chloe, Theo with commas, exactly how they type in the string of names is how it would go there. Or if they do like, Steven dash J dash Theo, it would use the dashes. So it's exactly how they type in the list, either one name, two names, or a list of names. Exactly how they type it is how it would get formatted. Again, using the same font, color, placement, and again, their personalization.
Awesome. Follow up on that. Is there a limit to how many you can have in a particular list for tags?
A limit for tags. So right now, if for example a mug, a mug design where the graphic is on both sides of the mug. So on the graphic, you'd have the one graphic here, one graphic here. You would tag the name on this side and the name on this side. So it puts the same name in all text on its tagged as name. For that example, you tag name here, it put the same name on both places. We again, another thing that we're adding in terms of logic is like name one tag, name two tag, name three tag. In case you want to say, like, for example, like a teacher Tumblr where it's like world's best teacher, Miss Smith, love your student, Samantha, where it'd be like name one Miss Smith, name two Samantha, because it's two different names in two different locations. We don't have that now. We don't have that yet. But again, we're to create something that's simple and automated on the front end is super complicated on the back end. So we're working through it, guys. And again, when we build it, we launch it, we'll email everyone and let all of our users know.
And is there a limit then, like if it was just a list of names, like grandma, and then for example, what you see on the sleeve? Is there a limit to how many names you can have?
Yeah, so it would all be limited to being in the same text box. So right now it doesn't like create multiple. It doesn't like break to like like it would go to here and then go down to another row. And what we have is it's called auto fit. So essentially you set the max allowance of like how long you want the text element to get, and then Hello Custom will make the font smaller to fit. And so right now we don't have a limit, so the font will just continue to get. So if someone puts like 100 names, the font will
Okay.
be tiny. But then inside of the approval queue, you can click on edit, and then inside the editor, it's very similar to Canva, where you would just take that, and you would just hit enter a few times and format it, increase the font, hit save, and then hit approve. So no graphics would go to Printify without your manual approval or re-edits.
Love it. So you can list as many as you need to and then edit there if it looks a little small.
Correct.
Fantastic. Merch turned me down over a year ago. I hear you cannot reapply. Is that true? No, that is not true. The only thing I would suggest is using a new email address because some people have kind of spammed them. But yeah, there's ways to. I think people have been getting in by starting with the Amazon Influencer Program. So if you're into that at all or get accepted there, people seem to have gotten into merch a little bit easier, and they've also been able to start at tier 1000 instead of tier 10. So maybe give that a go. Explain to Amazon how you would be an asset to them. Don't treat it like a job interview, right? Like tell them what you can bring to the table, and definitely flex your knowledge of intellectual property so that you are not a liability, because there's a lot of again, they got bots scraping stuff all the time. You get denied and listings declined all the time. So just let them know exactly what you can bring to the table, I think, in their favor.
I think the next one is Jay Steven. I think I meant to say Amazon handmade in my question instead of Amazon custom. Sorry. So I'll kind of share my experience through my buddy Jesse. He's sold $10 million in print products. I think 6 million on Etsy and then 4 million on Amazon. He started on Amazon Handmade with jewelry. And then he launched jewelry, Amazon Handmade, and actually since then left Amazon Handmade and just sold on Amazon General. Because I think the main benefit to Amazon Handmade was that you could have your main image not have to have a white background. Like you could have like the tabletop and some plants, very similar to Etsy, right? That Etsy look. Years ago, they removed that where they were starting to suppress listings that didn't have a white background. So in his mind, it's like Amazon Handmade is a smaller category. I have to have a white background anyways. I'm just going to put my mugs in mugs instead of Amazon Handmade. So he actually doesn't recommend Amazon Handmade for your print products. He says if you're selling shirts, put it in apparel. If you're selling mugs, put it in mugs. And he no longer has anything in Amazon Handmade. Because it's the exact same look, feel, experience, but again, one's a bigger category.
Nice. Aviana says, when you have so many different product types and niches in your one store, how did you categorize your shop categories?
Yeah, so for me, it got to a point where I would do it off niches, so
Yeah.
maybe like mom or memorial. So like, there's like 10 different niches that we sell in. So if it's like, for example, memorial, we might have like, all four different products, but for memorial. So they click onto memorial and it's like, hey, there's some mugs here, there might be some tumblers here or some candles or different products, but it was based on category. And then also when we got closer to some seasons like Christmas, then we would kind of break them out and have one category called like Christmas ornaments, because then they can just see all of our Christmas ornaments, because like that's more relevant than like trying to go through the niche. So we played around with it a little bit, and we ended up just going, I think, with niches, and then kind of we didn't focus on it too much, to be honest, but that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a rule of thumb there is just if either have your product categories by niche or sub niche, or by product, but not both, right? Because then it gets confusing to the customer. And then you would typically have some overlap too. So if it's a niche shop, you can have product categories for sections, no problem. Make it easy for them to find what they're looking for. Andy, yeah, mall versus destination. Your opinion, Rosemary says, your opinion on daily sales at launch or weekly sales?
Daily
If you're
sales,
talking about running
100%.
sales,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I do a daily flash sale, 100%. I've been doing it. I do so every single night before I went to bed on my phone for 3 years straight, so 1,000 days in a row. I would go onto my phone, I would select all products, daily flash sale tomorrow, also ends tomorrow,
hmm
50% off coupon. So that, and the reason, the benefit there is it puts that badge on the listing. Sale ends in 17 hours, and just based on our experience, that helped our conversion rate just that much more. So it was worth 30 seconds before bed. You can also, now they updated the app where you can schedule them out. So you could just spend like 10 minutes one day and just schedule 30 sales for the next 30 days. But I just made it a routine as I kind of went to bed to just do my daily flash sales.
for sure, for sure. Urgency and scarcity, right? Two massive drivers, especially in competitive spaces. So anytime you can have that countdown, and even when you add to cart now, they literally have a ticking countdown, very like similar to what you would see on a Shopify, for the sale running out. So it's not just sale ends in 4 hours or 6 hours when you're approaching midnight, but in your cart, if you checked your cart, you will literally see the countdown timer. So yeah, you don't get that when you have weekly sales until you're in the last few hours, right? So
I think,
no
yeah, I
brainer
think it's
daily sales.
within
Yeah.
24 hours exactly. So what's the best way to keep customers happy when your products are shipped out at different times, probably from different locations from different print providers? So you can have a message go to the buyer post purchase that's kind of just, hey, thank you just so much for your order, and then maybe just like right below that say, hey, note, if you bought different product types, then you might be coming from two different locations. And then obviously when they message you, if they message you, just let them say, hey, so sorry about that. We ended up shipping the mug from a different location. Here's the tracking for the mug that will be arriving soon. Because I think the tracking, the one that goes to the customer, would be whoever finishes first. Like if the shirt finishes first, it's going to get marked as complete with that tracking, but then the tracking for the mug just never gets applied to Etsy. So you just, again,
Right.
they reached out, they have a question. So sorry, I got shipped somewhere else. Here's the tracking for the mug. It'll be there tomorrow. I can't imagine there being, any one-star reviews because of that.
No, and you'd probably want to be proactive on that too. Send tracking information as soon as you can, really. Why is merch by Amazon so hard to get in? I don't know. It's a great question. I think it's a lot of it had to do with people like just flooding it with applications, and they did kind of open literal floodgates, and you would see in the groups and stuff, that thousands of people are getting accepted, and then all of a sudden there's like a race to the bottom. People are just kind of trying to rank. There's all kinds of different things. So like people are throwing up, like playing that numbers game without any kind of intention behind their design or niche research or anything. So I feel like maybe Amazon's kind of cracking down on that, because with that end rushing came a lack of checking for trademarks and checking for any kind of infringement. A lot of it was copyright stuff. People were buying stuff on various art platforms that you could buy, pre-made artwork, and uploading them without kind of checking or vetting, the designs, or even vetting the seller of those designs. Some of them were stolen. So I think they intended, I guess, to make it more difficult on purpose, just to make sure that people knew what they were doing, you know, kind of limit who they were letting in. Less liability at the end of the day.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any concerns rolling out the same design on multiple platforms, Etsy, Amazon Merch, TikTok Shop? Do you expect to do the exact same design? Any concerns about pricing variations across platforms? So I personally don't see any downside to having your products on multiple different platforms. Again, some people are shopping Etsy, some people are shopping Amazon, some people are now shopping TikTok Shop. They're different shoppers, and they're different buyers because again, some people prefer one over the other. So I think like you'll have better reach. And again, some designs might sell better on Etsy, different designs might sell better on Amazon, different designs might sell better on TikTok. So again, they're different shoppers. One thought about pricing is, again, I haven't been back in the day with Amazon, they're probably still doing it now, is if you sold that same product at a cheaper price on a different platform, like on your website, it might be like $10, but on Amazon, you're trying to sell for $15. You would actually lose the buy box on your own listing because, okay, this product is cheaper somewhere else. Either make it the same price or cheaper. So like they almost want you to be either the same price or cheaper on Amazon, and they want to hold you to that. So I would just, again, you can launch them on all platforms if you have the time and bandwidth to do that. If you're seeing a positive ROI for that time versus just launching more designs on Etsy, and then I would just keep the same pricings across the platforms just to be safe.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Saturate the market with whatever you can, whenever you can. And by market, I mean the platforms in general. But the only caveat there would be, diluting your brand. So if it's something that you want to keep super kind of eclectic or, exclusive, having that on your own .com might be the way to go for that particular niche or target customer. Whereas stuff that is on Amazon is typically looked at as like cheaper or more accessible in that sense. So there is a possibility of, brand dilution there. But again, not a concern if you don't have a brand that people are already looking for. Otherwise, yeah, hit all the marketplaces for sure. Why are keyword search estimates from eRank and Everbee so wildly different? It's predictive technology from what I understand, and you, I'm assuming, would have probably a bit more insight as to this.
Yeah, so I have a little bit more experience in regards to like actually like working with the Etsy API, which is like the data that we're allowed to receive from Etsy to do things with it with our softwares. So Etsy does not directly give you this product made this many sales in this much time, has this much demand, this many like, so they only give you, essentially the way that I like to say is they give you lemons to make apple juice, or they give you ABC and you try to make XYZ. So they give you some of the information and you got to try to like use, again, predictability, like your code to try to like give guesstimates. So I only use these search analytic tools as compasses. Like if it thinks this product is selling 1 per day and this one's selling 5 per day, this one's doing better than this one, but like to what extent, I don't know in certainty, but I know that this one's doing better than this one. So I just use it as a compass in terms of pointing me in the right direction. Numbers that are more true are total sales and reviews and lifetime of listings. So those are like true numbers. The daily sales revenue, things like that is a little bit more predictable. So like you could say, hey, like in the last 18 months, this listing has sold 1,000 times. That's true. So it's like, and then this one down here in the last 18 months has sold 100 times. That's pretty true. So like you can see again, like this one is doing better than this one. So I always look at like the more daily sales as my compass, and then I look over at like the total sales, lifetime listing as more true to validate what I'm seeing on the front end.
Yeah, and just to add that I think and when you're looking at, because the sales numbers are accurate, they're true because you have inventory in there, right, that they can count. The average revenue is based on the list price of the item that the customer sees, not all the different variations in there. So make sure you kind of factor that into there.
One note on that too. So sometimes I'll even go one step further. If the number just seems like crazy wrong, which sometimes happens again, like because some things just don't fit the code properly, and there might just be some outlier in the data. Is you can manually check the predicted sales, and the way that I would do that is I would take the total reviews divided by the total sales, and it gives you the review ratio, like how many sales equal to how many reviews. And it might be 15%. 15% of the time people are leaving a review. And then on that specific listing, I would say, okay, this one has 100 reviews. And then I would take that 100 reviews divided by the 15%, and okay, 1,500 sales. And that gives you like the total sales. So that's just a kind of a quick way to like on this shop, this shop's review rate average, and then therefore should hold true to this listing. And then if that number is accurate to Everbee or eRank, then you can kind of validate that.
Smart. Yeah, good way to do that. Leonardo says, if I started a store focused on one niche and the name of the store reflects that, would you change the store name in order to start designing products for different niches? That's a good question. Depends on if your name is associated with a brand yet, if that makes sense. But if it's like Jay's shirts and you're not selling shirts anymore, then yeah, you're probably going to want to rebrand that. What do you got a take there?
Exactly. So that was kind of the strategy back when I got started, was like you come up with some random, again, branding isn't really important when you're selling off-brand tees or off-brand products on Etsy. Like Etsy is the brand. When someone says, hey, like cute shirt, where'd you get that? They're going to say Etsy. They're not going to say, Jay's store on Etsy. So like the branding, the logo, like I spend very, very, very little time on that. But like when we first got started, we picked some random word and added masks to the end because we were selling face masks. So it was like some random word masks. And then when masks died and we started selling other print products, we changed our name to Made by that random word, was the name of our Etsy shop. So we did change it when the kind of niche and product did change. So yeah, I would change your name if you're selling beyond just that.
Yeah, I think that would apply to niches too. If it doesn't make sense, right? If you're selling, I don't know, political stuff, and now you're selling outdoor stuff, it doesn't make sense, right? You want the customer to, if they get to your shop, know right away what it's about. Especially if you're going to, translate that to your own .coms, your standalones, anything like that. Drumigo, I started my Etsy shop this time last year and was only able to upload several products and then got really busy at work. Will they still give me a bump in traffic or should I reopen a new shop? Etsy rewards activity in your shop. So whether this is renewing some listings that have sold previously and you just renew them, or listing new stuff. So if your shop is in good standing, there's no reason for you not to start a new shop, in my opinion, and start from scratch. If you want to go a completely different route, then I mean, by all means. But I would leverage the consumer-facing trust that you've built. Right, the reviews are there, the sales are there. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to go. It doesn't take much to kind of like, spring a shop that was once selling back into it. If you've built the following, any social media channels, you can, announce that you're coming back or you're going to be having a new drop and drop a collection, right? Especially seasonally. There's lots of ways that you can kind of, you know, reignite, I guess, that spark. But yeah, I wouldn't open a new shop necessarily unless you really, really want to and go a completely different direction.
Yeah. So again, the whole like would I still get that, give me that bump in traffic or should I open a new shop? I think that's on a per listing basis that you're launching new. I call it the halo period. So like when you launch a new listing, Etsy has zero data on that product. Where it should rank in terms of other products. It has zero sales history. The number one variable that Etsy looks at for a rank is sales velocity in the last like hour, day, 24 hours, week, last month. It doesn't have any of that data to kind of know where to put you in rank. So they kind of same thing with Amazon. They give you a little boost in ranked. That way you get a little bit of boost in visibility. Because see, hey, on a small spectrum, maybe like a week, what's the impressions, the click through rate, the conversions, and that way they can kind of know where to put you. So that's kind of another reason why, like, when I launch a new listing, I drop it to my break-even price. I turn on ads. That way during the halo period when they're really hyper focusing on that listing, conversion rate is double, the click through rate is double because everything's so cheap, and that really helps you kind of climb the rank. But again, I think that's on a per listing basis. I don't think your shop is like deemed as dead. I think if it's like an empty shop and you launch a new listing, that listing will have that bump, during that halo period. The next question was Jay talks about not offering too many colors. That way the customer can make a decision faster. Would offering only one color be not enough colors? I'll let Jay take this one.
Sure, yeah, I would argue that one color could be not enough colors. That would depend on the niche and target customer, right? If you're, in a metal kind of dark or gothic, then black is the only color you'll ever need to sell on, regardless of product, right? So the idea behind not offering too many colors is so that there's no decision fatigue or, analysis paralysis, some people like to call it. You've got, 8 seconds is what the average consumer will spend on a web page, and 3 seconds is the add to cart kind of time before they bounce. So you want to make sure that you can get them to make a decision, add to cart, and check out as fast as possible. That's the rationale behind not offering too many colors. But one color might not be enough if you're, in a niche that would be targeting potentially some outdoor stuff. Go to hunting or fishing. A lot of guys will wear black. They'll also wear navy. They'll also wear a military green, right? So it's then But if you're pigeonholing yourself into something like super gothic, then one color, black, would be the only color you'd need, right? So yeah, what's your take on that, big guy?
Yeah, so it's kind of the whole thing. Like we go to Printify and it's like, hey, they have 46 colors. It's like
Right.
you should not be, select all on the listing, 46 colors, where they have, 3 shades of blue, 6 shades of red, 7 shades of green, 4 different shades of gray. It's like that's where the fatigue's coming in. It's like, do I want gray or a little bit more gray or a little bit more light gray? It's like gray is gray. So I would just say 10, just pick 10 colors, like white, gray, black, 1 shade of red, 1 shade of blue, 1 shade of green, like just the main primary colors. And that's like what a lot of the shops, again, like I always, when I'm launching into a new product category, I find the shops that are doing it well successfully today, and then I kind of just reverse engineer what they're doing. And I don't see any shops that are doing well where they have 46 colors. You might
Yeah.
have 10. So again, just do your market research, your product research, see what's working on other shops in the same marketplace, selling the same product, and then like how many colors do they have, what shades are they having, and then go do the same on your shop.
And another actual bonus, just to piggyback on that, is like in terms of seeing the different providers in Printify with like 40 plus colors, I would scan through 3 or 4 providers and see what colors they offer that are the same, so you will have a backup, right? So if like one print provider on Printify, for example, runs out of this Heather Mauve or whatever, if you're doing a Bella 3001, but there's no other print provider that carries it. Well, now you're kind of leaving yourself in a bind, right, where you have to now go back to the customer, and now you're giving them control, and then that bumps out the processing times and just creates friction and a headache for no reason. So I would stick to main colors for your niche and make sure that they can be fulfilled by multiple printers in Printify. And that's the nice thing about Printify is you can just order reroute, right? So I hope that makes sense for you. Mark says, can you give me some insight on how you use email marketing on the Etsy platform and how Etsy no longer giving sellers access to customer emails will affect this? Can you give me some insight?
Yeah, so I think the number one benefit to post-purchase emails is the number one. You could have like again, like trying to do some upsells, get some revenue. I think uh, Cody shared. I think he made like his sellers during like the 2 months it was open made like $100,000 plus in like post-purchase revenue. So like there's ways to make more revenue. Again, the big one is trying to get a review, right? So it's like like the cool thing about Etsy is it shows like your shop reviews on every single listing, not the product specific reviews for that single product. So if your shop has 1,000 reviews and you launch a product today, it shows 1,000 reviews for that product. So the more reviews your shop has, the better. And the cool thing about post-purchase emails is like you're able to, again, hey, is everything okay? Yes or no? Try to fix it, and then knowing that everything's okay, hey, like, can you take 1 to 2 minutes to maybe just click the link here to leave a review? And again, sometimes people just have to be asked. Like people are very happy to leave reviews when they're unhappy, but it's like sometimes they're just happy and they go on with their day. But it's like sometimes you just have to like ask, give them a link to get that review. So I think like getting more reviews faster to get that social proof, to get the rank, to have increase your conversion rate. I think that's invaluable. I didn't personally dive in too much in regards to. I know Etsy updated here coming up. They're going to remove customer emails as a data point in the API. The reason why is there was a lot of where people were unsubscribed to them, and a lot of unsubscribed emails were going out, right? So it's like, hey, we're giving you guys the emails, and you're sending emails to them, but they never subscribed to you. So to protect their users, they're removing that. And I know that Cody is updating from Everbee, for example, is updating kind of the flow. But I think him and Scott Volker from Brand Creators are probably the two best people to ask that question, because I haven't personally dived into that myself in regards to the effects and next best strategies.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp that way. I don't know enough about what the implications are coming, because this is all new, and Etsy hasn't really released any information. My just a thought I have, like just what I think is going to happen, is Etsy wants to also potentially retain that information, because why would they give that out when they could have implemented the same kind of thing that Everbee's implementing, right? Where you can allow your Etsy sellers to message the customers if they've opted in only, and kind of market for Etsy, because at the end of the day, it's more sales for Etsy, it's more dollars in Etsy's pocket. So, but allowing you maybe like first name only of all the customers on that list, right? Not
Yeah.
their email address to direct them off of Etsy. So that would be logically what I think Etsy is kind of figuring out. But again, you never know. They've made a lot of different changes, and some just make you dumbfounded, right?
Yeah, so it kind of lets you know too that like Cody from Everbee is like making moves in regards
Yeah.
to like that data point was available for a very, very, very long time. Laura, E-Rank, Aweber, like all these other softwares were like using that, offering very similar products, and then all of a sudden Cody comes out with Everbee email, and within 2 months, we're like, okay, guys, no, we're stopping that because it's like a huge splash of just demand and use cases and things like that. So that's how you know Cody's making moves. As users are taking advantage of these features, and it was probably just getting pinged and pulled, hundreds of thousands of times. So again, that's why I love Everbee so much. The next question is April. How's it going, April? Nice to see you. So April is like Hello Custom's like #1 best user. We have an interview on our YouTube channel where she shares her story.
Awesome.
Um, it's just such a motivating story of someone who just got started in, was it like mid 2023. So it's like she literally got started in print on demand, knowing nothing about print on demand, like middle of just this last year, where there's like tens of millions of people doing this. And then she ramped to her first $100,000 month in November. I think she made $750,000 from like mid 2023 to just the end of the year, selling
Awesome.
again personalized print products on Etsy. The same strategy that I used, following the strategies that we teach on our YouTube channel. So I just want to give a huge shout out to April. Again, just so much success. But again, she put in that work, and she made it happen.
For sure. And that is real work, folks. This isn't like a part-time kind of hobby, right?
Yeah.
Hello Custom working on being able to add credentials to names. How close?
Yeah, so right now we have like family names added in regards to like Aunt Sarah, Grandpa John, also like titles like Mr. and Mrs. and things like that, but credentials like also like doctor. So those things are already added. If it gets missed, you just let us know if it was one of those. But if in terms of credentials, those are things. Feel free to just send over email support@hellocustom.io with a couple credentials that maybe are your top sellers, and we can just like add that into the logic to name very, very quickly. But then in regards to having it be its own separate tag, like if you want it to be in different locations, that will probably come maybe after maybe Q2. There's so many things on the roadmap that are coming before that.
Nice, nice. We got I think we'll go for another 5-6 minutes here, and we'll try to burn through some of these. So, Hello Custom working on being able to add credentials. All right. Lulu says, does the PDF image downloaded into Hello Custom need to be the exact size to be used in Printify? Most of the time, especially with apparel, I make size adjustments in Printify for the different sizes.
Yeah, so essentially, where I'm assuming you created a design in the same location. So, like, let's say you're using Canva, it's 5,000 pixels by 5,000 pixels. You download that as a PNG, upload it to Printify, and then you shrunk it down to be the top corner pocket. And then you downloaded the same graphic as a PDF, uploaded that to Hello Custom. So Hello Custom will match the resizing, the placements, the coordinates. So essentially, we will also just we'll upload the graphic and then exact match the resizing, the scale, and the coordinates of the product. So or for example, if you make it a little bit bigger, it's the same thing. So as long as the size of the graphic in regards to like where you downloaded it is the same, like 5,000 pixels by 5,000 pixels, downloaded from the same graphic, which I'm assuming it is. So no problems there at all.
Nice. And before we get too far into the last few questions or the burn through them here rapid fire, I just want to give Steven's Hello Custom a shout out here. So make sure you check the description. Go sign up, subscribe to his YouTube channel where it's all Hello Custom and strategy, and go join his Hello Custom Facebook group too. And that said, in my description here below this video, I've got a 14-day free trial, and you can use the code JAYSWAY for a free first month. So, I mean, it's really, idiot proof at that point, right? Like, you can't lose. You can try it for free and, for a good solid month and get your feet wet. Best time now to be testing, right, in Q1. So, yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, really appreciate that. On that note, really quick, again, you guys get 14 days for free, and if you use Jay's link and coupon, you get the first month for free if you use the business monthly. So it's like, you can just go around and play with it for free. And this is a software built from an Etsy seller for Etsy sellers. So we made, in terms of the UI, the experience, we built this for you guys. And again, my experience and how we were able to grow so fast on Etsy was through the leverage of personalization. Just like 1 minute tangent on this is, in the last year, like literally, like Printify has grown by 10 million users in the last 12 months. So 10 million people are us. We started our Etsy print on demand business. Huge increase in competition. Buyers are not growing at that same rate. Buyers are staying, pretty flat. So you have to stand above that competition. And when we're all selling on Etsy, we're all using Printify, we're all selling, we're all getting the same price, the same lead times. We're all creating very similar designs. It's almost impossible to stand above that competition beyond your design. And I'm not a graphic designer. And the way that I was able to do that, again, going back 3 years ago, was just creating a very simple design, a clip art for $2, and putting the name Samantha below it, personalizing it, making it that much more perceived value. And we were able to, scale as to one of the top Etsy shops in the world. Again, the biggest pain point was it was super manual. Print on Demand is so amazing because, Etsy brings you the traffic, Printify does the fulfillment, you get a slice of the pie. And we made that business manual. Now we have to manually update every single order, manually personalize every single graphic, manually, update shipping on every single product once shipped. And Hello Custom now automates all of that with a simple click of a button. So it's worth testing. It's worth playing around with. It's worth, again, testing personalization. On my YouTube channel, I have tons of product tutorials that are products that you can get with Print on Demand on Printify that is selling very well on Etsy that is geared for personalization. So if you're looking for the product, the opportunity, again, I have tons of product tutorials on our YouTube channel. So again, really excited for you guys to try personalization.
Yeah, one thing I just got to throw you a bone there because, like Steven said, it's made by Etsy sellers for Etsy sellers. Steven, I've dabbled in personalization, customization, and the most daunting thing is what happens if you have overnight success and now you've got tons of the personalization and the customization you got to do. Well, Steven got to a point pretty quickly where you had a full room, like a team of people just manually typing in names and that sort of thing, right? So that's kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but what spawned the there's got to be a better way moment, the aha moment with Hello Custom, right? So
exactly. We like during a Christmas rush when you're selling 1,000 things a day, 1,000 times a day you have to open up the Canva file. 1,000 times a day you'd have to go over to Printify. One of our buddies in our group, I think he made $600,000 during the Christmas rush, made like $250,000 profit. He had a whole team of VAs. He's like, I was still 3 days behind. I couldn't get VAs fast enough. I couldn't onboard VAs fast enough. He's like, I'm just so kicking myself in the butt that I wasn't integrated with Hello Custom because it would have been one person on one computer just clicking approve. How simple is that, right? So he's now getting onboarded because he had that experience.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Honey, again, with some awesome stats there, it looks like. So congratulations on those. Aviana, does Hello Custom make the font bigger to fill out the space if, say, the name is shorter than the original? And Stephen did allude to this, but yes, so it's constrained in a way that if the wording is too long, my understanding is that it'll just kind of make it fit within the parameters that you set in terms of actual width, right?
Exactly. So the starting font, so the max font will be the starting font in your template. So like again, if like the design says Samantha, maybe the font is, let's say, like 50 pixels. It'll only, as if the name is smaller than Samantha, let's say Sam, it'll stay the same pixels as the Samantha. But if it was like Samantha Jason Chin or whatever, right, and it was like this huge long name, it would dynamically just get smaller to fit inside of the max allowance that you set going into it. So it won't ever get bigger. It'll like the starting font will be the font if it's smaller than Samantha in the template.
So Lulu says, follow up to her previous question. So do I need to have a unique PDF download for each item, baby, bodysuit, adult shirt, or can it be one download or PDF file, I assume, for all?
If they are all in the same listing, it can be one template. So right now, this is a feature that's been highly requested. Is a lot of people will have one design and they'll put that one design on a mug, on a tumbler, on a shirt, on a onesie. Like they'll put it on a bunch of different products. And they ask like, hey, can I just like make a copy of the template so that way I don't have to re-upload the template, re-tag everything. We don't have that ability yet. Again, Hello Custom is still super new, so there's still a ton of features on our roadmap. So we will have that in time. But as of right now, if they're on different listings, you will have to upload the PDF a second time, reset the max allowances a second time. But again, that won't be for long. I will say on that note too is what sells good on a mug doesn't mean it's going to sell good on a onesie, doesn't mean it's going to sell good on a tumbler, doesn't mean it's going to sell good on a shirt. I would recommend doing the product, your market research for every single new product category that you sell in. And again, I have a market research tutorial on how, again, we do our market research over on my YouTube channel. And again, you will do that and you'll see, oh, wow, this actually didn't even make the top 100, but it did on the mugs, but it didn't even make the top 100 on the tumblers. 100 different designs did, and 100 different designs made the top 100 on the onesies, and 100 different designs made the top 100 on a shirt. So that's one thing is it seems really easy just to put on different products, but it might just be more work for you for no extra sales. So you just got to make sure that the data backs the decision.
That would be a great case for having multiple items or products within the one listing, right? For sure. In this particular case, Alpha says, when is the video about Amazon or Printify? Well, so there's kind of a twofold thing here. So what Stephen alluded to earlier is that they're trying to have their Amazon integration ready to go when Printify has their Amazon integration ready to go. Currently, you can fulfill orders through Printify with Amazon, but it's there is a bit of a manual process there. So I'm going to be working on that. I'm not waiting for Printify to have that automated integration yet, but it'll be. I want to be ready for that as well, and be able to flip a switch and flip that switch. So all in time. Be patient, please. But yeah, there's ways to do it now. I just want to make sure that I show you guys the right way and the best way, to maximize your time ultimately. Has providing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing about Amazon, if you're gonna be using Printify and you're selling apparel, you are competing with Amazon Merch where there's like the 2-day shipping. And if you're not, again, I'm the personalization guy, so I think Amazon will work for print-on-demand products that are through Printify that isn't going to be shipped in 2 days or delivered in 2 days, only if the product is personalized, because you can justify the longer lead time. Like if there is a mug that says, world's best mom, and it's going to get to you in 2 days, and there's another one that says world's best mom, but has a children's name on it, they're going to understand that, hey, this one actually isn't FBA. It's going to take them a couple of days to personalize the graphic. It's going to be shipped. It's going to be delivered in maybe 8 days. That's the only way that you can be able to compete. Because if you have a world's best mom and they have a world's best mom, theirs is delivered in 2 days, yours is delivered in 8 days, they're going to go with the prime, not yours. So you almost can only compete on Amazon if it's personalized. And again, my buddy Jesse, who did the $4 million on Amazon, was 100% personalized. He's like, I would not, all of his non-personalized products, he didn't even launch on Amazon because he couldn't see it competing. So it's just one note for when we do get to that point in the opportunity.
Well, just a quick note, I got 48 or 58 of you watching now. Please go ahead and mash that like button so the algorithm knows to share and keep showing this video in people's feeds. I think it's great education for a lot of people. The next question is from El Jefe, has providing tracking numbers to your customers been a manual process, or is there a way to trigger it automatically in Etsy Printify once the product is shipped? So that already happens automatically. That is regardless of if you fulfill your orders manually in Printify or you have it set up automatically. As soon as an item has shipped, if it's been processed, it will update Etsy on that end or any integration that you have there. So that's an easy one. There's no sweat, no stress that way. Where are we? Viana.
The one thing on that one is if you create the order manually, it's not tied to the Etsy order. So in that case, you would have to grab the tracking if it's manual. But if it's just a listing that you published over to Etsy, it's automatically connected 100% of the time.
Yeah, if your shop is synced, even though, right? So if it came into your other orders tab and you just processed it there and then dropped your new customer work, that's all. You're all good. You're all. It's just to Steven's point, if you went in and created a new order from scratch, yes, then you would have to share or push. Aviana says, what was your progress of uploading the 4 different products? Did you focus on one niche and make a couple of designs for each product type, or did you make designs for different niches at the same time?
Yes, that's for me. Essentially, I launched one product, and again, I threw it across all niches. And when I got to the point where I launched all my 100 or 150 designs, we kind of like optimized our processes. And like, hey, this one's now good. I'd move on to the next. And then we would launch that product, launch our designs, optimize the processes. Once it feels fully built out, we're good, move on to the next. So it was one at a time, again, focusing on one thing, ramping it to the max that we can. And then we would just move on to the next product category. When it gets to the point where it's like, in terms of my time that I'm spending, am I going to make a better ROI launching a new product category or launching more designs on my current product category? So when you kind of feel like you're at that transition point, that's when I move on to the next opportunity.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? John says, Etsy suspended my shop, and I talked to them. They said it's something they can't change, meaning they will not reinstate it. I'm not really sure what I did wrong. We'll be back or no chance. So I've heard of people being suspended and their appeals being denied, and then 2 months later they go log in and their store's live. So I would say don't lose hope. I would not pester them, but ask questions, ask what you've done wrong, ask for somebody to at least review your shop to let you know what you've done wrong. Yeah, because sometimes the bots have been overzealous as of late.
Exactly. On that too, I would re submit your claim on that every 2 weeks. So I think it kind of ends like after 2 weeks, and a lot of times they just give you like a default answer by the end of the case.
Yeah.
So I would just like reappeal every single 2 weeks until you get it back, assuming you actually did not violate their TOS and okay, I did nothing wrong and they suspended me. I've never heard of anyone saying, hey, I did nothing wrong, they suspended me, and I never got it back. So if you did nothing wrong, you will get it back. But again, if you're like, hey, you're suspended because you violated this trademark, you probably won't get it back in that scenario. But if you did nothing wrong, just again, every 2 weeks, resubmit that case.
Colin says, hello, Jay. Thanks for all your awesome content. You are so welcome. You too, Steven. I really appreciate both. Jay, do you have any tips specifically on getting into Amazon merch? You can't apply with the same email twice, right? Should I try it again? So this question was asked earlier. I'd suggest you go back and rewatch, and you'll get that answer there. But yeah, in a nutshell, you can apply as many times as you want. I would suggest if you've applied more than twice with that email to try with a new email. And you want to state your case, like treat it like a job interview as to why you are the best candidate for them compared to the other 10,000 people that are applying, right? I did go into a bit more detail at the start of this call with that. So in the spirit of time here, I'm just going to try to hit some other questions. So Kristen Cray says, do you always have to niche down to get the sales? Any tips on getting seen on Etsy for the broader niches like weddings? Weddings are massive. I know you're itching to go there. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, so I'm one that's not scared of broad niches, and like
Yeah.
it was when I launched a video on my YouTube channel called Six Figure Niches, and everyone was like, those niches are too big to touch, and I was like, what do you mean they're too big to touch? Like they're too big because there's demand there. I'm definitely not scared of demand. So the process that I did since day one with all the products I launched, again, if you go to my YouTube channel, type in market research, like just watch that tutorial. I also have the same video training on Ryan Hogue's channel. But essentially, is what I do is I always like to reverse engineer what people are doing successfully today. Like success leaves clues. Like if you go to Etsy and you find 5 to other 10 shops that are selling the product that you're selling that launched in the last 1 to 3 years that is successful. I mean, they're selling the amount of sales that you want to have. They're selling the products and designs that you're comfortable with selling. What are they doing correct? You can use a tool like Everbee and scrape their entire shop. If they have 1,000 listings, you can scrape the entire 1,000 listings. And so what I do is I go find 5 to 10 shops like that. I scrape the entire shop. So then I have one master Excel sheet with, let's say, 10,000 line items, all products that I'm comfortable with selling, all designs that I'm comfortable with selling across 10 different shops that are all successful, that launched in the last 1 to 3 years. So they were also new like myself, and they carved their spot in the market. And what I do is I just take all that data and I filter it from best selling to least selling. And then I go through the list, about the top 100, and I click into every single listing and ask myself, like, what niches are they in? What do their listings look like? What are they doing that I'm not doing? Because again, success leaves clues. And you'll be able to use that, I call it master list, to make your listings better, go into bigger niches. Again, like you'll say, oh wow, a lot of people are using this style of font. Oh, a lot of people are using this rustic gringe. Or again, like success leaves clues. So that's kind of what I did, and that's how when you do that at such a high level, in most cases, we actually ended up doing better than them because we took the successful elements of multiple shops and made ours that much better.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I don't know how many times I've said it also, like success leaves clues. It's all kinds of everywhere. It's not only sales, it's like what items are being reviewed the most. It's what are customers asking in your combos for you to create, right? Odds are if they're asking for something specific, but it's within the same niche, there's going to be 1,000 other people that want the same product, right? So create it in a way that is generic enough to be able to be sold everywhere. Yeah, I mean,
the one thing about niching down or selling in a single niche is it limits yourself on how Etsy actually works. People go to Etsy and they type in like gift for mom, and if you're in the pet niche, you didn't show up for that search term. Or if you only sell in the pet niche and they're looking for any other search term other than a pet, you don't show up for. So it's like by being in all the different niches and having designs for a bunch of different search terms, the more likely you are to show up for a search term and the more coverage you have across Etsy. Again, assuming you have the right product, the right designs, you want to be seen as in as many places and as wide as possible. Otherwise, again, you're only going after a segment of the market.
yeah, and I'm a proponent of niching or picking a niche and going with a niche, but it's super broad. I am not shying away from saturation or competition. To me, those are massive pies, and you only need to get a small slice, or like to use Stephen words, carve out a small space in that kind of niche to get up, massive returns, like to the tune of his $3 million over years, right? It's when you niche down too far, you lose exactly like, and you're pigeonholing yourself. Now you've got to be, marketing and building social media followings to very specific groups. It kind of takes I guess the essence of what is Etsy in terms of having buyers ready to shop. Now you've got to go target them and bring them to your Etsy shop, right? So niching down too far is definitely a detriment, I think. People put too much stock in all these, low competition or high demand volumes. Like low competition, when you're looking at keyword stats, my head goes right to low demand, right? And I don't ever want to be kind of targeting a niche that has low competition or low demand. It just doesn't make sense on the bottom line. Will there be a replay? I'm joining so late. The Sealies, yeah. This is going to live on the channel, so you can go when you go to my channel, you'll see videos, this, that, and the other, and then there'll be a section for lives. You can go in there. It's going to be a weekly series above and beyond that too, so it'll live on my YouTube channel. So don't even worry about that. Stephanie says, "How can I use Printify on Amazon?" So we kind of just touched on it. It's a bit of a manual process in terms of making sure that your stuff goes out. That's the other thing you got to navigate with Seller Central is your processing times, because they want you to have stuff out a little bit quicker than Etsy. So it works the same way. I'm working on videos to show integrations that way, but it's only daunting because it's a new platform. Otherwise, it's the same idea. You can link your shop. So looking forward to dropping more content on that. I just don't have any for you right now. That's all.
If you're looking to do it through Printify today, where they don't have the integration today, essentially what you do is you list the product for sale on Amazon. When it sells, you go over to Printify. You click on the product that they bought. This is the manual process that Jay mentioned. You click on the product, then you click on create order, then you select the product, and then it goes over to the shipping details. You go over to Amazon, copy and paste the name, copy and paste the address, copy and paste everything, and then you fulfill it manually through Printify. And then again, you have to, then when it sells, there's no marking as complete with the tracking. Then you have to manually go back over and mark it as complete because there is no connection today. So it's 100% manual, but it is coming. And again, you can get it going today, do it manually, and then when the integration does come, you already have the listings live, the rank. So when everyone bombards, Amazon, like you're already live, got the rank, kind of beat everyone to it. The manual work was worth it, and then you can just skew link it. And then now it's automated. So there's the pros and there's the cons on that one. The next question, which I can take really quick, is someone asked, like, they're really confused in regards to, do you leave your holiday listings live off season, like your Halloween listings, your Christmas listings, or do you let them expire? So when I first got started selling the face masks, we went through a holiday Halloween with our face masks. We turned them off. And then during the next year, face masks kind of got popular again because of like flu season. And we turned back on our Halloween masks, and we actually sold a lot less because we lost all of our rank. The people who left their listings on were already ranked, and we were trying to climb the ranks going into the season. So from that learning experience, we actually leave on all of our holiday listings throughout the year. We just move those listings to the bottom of our shop. So if someone goes into our shop and we have like 14 pages of products, they're just on page 15, they're on page 14, they're on page 13, they're at the very bottom. If Christmas ornaments or Halloween is a segment on the side, we just move it to the bottom. So that way it's just kind of out of sight, out of mind, but we leave it on so we can maintain and keep the rank. That way next season, we're still on page 1, we get all that rank, and we're not scrambling going into the season.
And that's funny, I do the exact same thing. I think that's something that a lot of content creators don't talk about, is like ordering your products, right? Like, and by order, I mean like the visual appearance of the structure of your shop. So you can move your shop sections. You can, if it's Christmas now in Q1, I would move that to the bottom or lower and put something more relevant coming, like Father's Day or whatever it is, or Valentine's, in the nearest future. And then also you can reorganize the order that your items show up, your listings show up in your Etsy shop when the customer goes to your page, right? So by default, you can set it so that all those Christmas listings now are at the bottom, so it doesn't look like you're only selling Christmas stuff and forcing them to go to a second page or a third page or scroll if they're scrolling on the app, right? So yeah, it's something I think that I'll have to make some content about the show, so point and click on how to do that. Where are we here? That was T. Marie. So Denny says, Hello Custom will be able to make personal messages such as 1. Maddie's year abroad, or 2. Engaged, married as its own line.
So currently no. So right now, again, with automation and the AI, again, it takes a lot of work to automate something. So to make something simple on the front end takes a lot of work on the back end. So for like phrases like Mandy's year abroad, we don't have that yet, or married or engaged as its own line, where they would enter that information. We don't have that yet. So currently, the only things that we can automate with the personalization is names, dates, addresses, and phone numbers, where names are not like names of organizations or football teams. There's a little bit confusing when we first went live. It's like people's names or pets' names, like Samantha or Daisy, or what you would name a common pet. And we are going to be adding more. We call them tags, what you can tag for personalization. But from my experience, again, I've been selling Etsy for 3 years, personalized print products, hundreds of thousands of sales, top sell in the world. 95% of our personalization is just name or name and date. You don't have to overcomplicate it, be too much beyond that. Again, like just taking a simple design of clip art that you can buy from Etsy or Credit Fabrica, putting a name below it, like again, like that's all we did for mugs, and we made $100,000 selling mugs. It was like we
Yeah.
busted that product category out super fast. Similar with
It's,
ornaments is, text element, Merry Christmas, clip art, Samantha, 2024. It's like super simple.
and
I,
don't
again, I'm not
overcomplicate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I was the same thing. Don't overcomplicate it for the customer's perspective too, right? Because too many options or too many places, now you're kind of creating that element of decision fatigue again, right? It becomes too cumbersome for them to kind of like, oh, how do I order this to make sure that they're not going to screw this up and put this there, right? I've had custom orders like that, and keep it simple. What's the acronym? Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, right?
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah, so while we got a few of you here, I just wanted to say before I think there's one more question there, but I got 40 of you plus, so just make sure you smash that like button. Please share this with anybody you know, and make sure to check the description there. Go sign up for my free trials using my code. You'll get a free 1 month and 14-day free trial if you sign up using my link. Go play around with Hello Custom. I think honestly, personalization is going to be the way forward in terms of setting yourself apart from the competition that is ever growing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right now, if you guys are print on demand, I would say about 99% of people doing print on demand on Etsy are not leveraging personalization, because again, it's manual. It's taking the passive business, making it manual. No one wants it. It's too much work. So if someone's willing to do it, now that there's tools that will automate it, you're setting above that competition. So the fastest, easiest way, I think, to be successful in print on demand, and I think that one of the only ways to have that continued success, if you want to have this be a long-term business, is through personalization. So again, really excited for you guys to jump in, try Hello Custom. We have support. If you have any questions, we have a Facebook group. If you have any questions, and we're really active on both.
All right, 2 more quick questions. One for Hello Custom is Nick. Can Hello Custom reorganize initials or like a team name, i.e. something that may not be a person's name?
Yeah, same thing. Not currently yet. Yeah, like a team name or initials. It's more like a name. Again, we are going to be adding more initials. So in terms of like next things for Hello Custom, we are going to be adding the ability to add multiple Etsy shops. That's a big one. We are adding that image recognition, which is a big one. We're going to be adding a Shopify integration and an Amazon integration. But at the same time, in the background, we're working on adding multiple tags like name 1, name 2, date 1, date 2. Those will be the next ones, because that's leveraging the stuff we've already built, just making it more accurate. And then beyond that, we will be trying to adding more things like team names or like professions and things like that. The way we're not limiting you guys on what you can personalize through Hello Custom.
Okay, and then John says, how long does Amazon take to tier up? On tier 10, I have 51 sales, 4 returns. If you max out your slots and you've got the sales, arguably Amazon would tip, like, you qualify for the tier up. Unfortunately, it's whenever they want. It's information they don't tell anybody, and I've seen people take 2 years to tier up. I've also seen people go from tier 10 to tier 5,000 in like months, a matter of months. So I would argue that if you want to do anything, or you're stuck because you've maxed out your slots, go remove, however long you've been there, go remove the designs that have not sold and upload better ones, or revamp them and change your SEO, right? On Amazon, that's, design and SEO are the only 2 things that really matter there. Yeah, so hope that helps. T. Marie, last question of the day. Etsy ads, yes or no? I am camp yes. Steven?
100% yes. Yeah, in the last 3 years, we spent over $250,000 in Etsy ads. I owe 100% of my success to Etsy ads. We can dive into it, but essentially, I have a whole video on this. If you go to my YouTube channel, go to episode 5. If you type in like episode 5, there's a whole video on like my launch strategy. where when you launch a new product, it goes into the halo period. There are no sales history. The cheaper something is, typically the more sales volume it gets. So I drop it to my break-even price, turn on Etsy ads for 2 weeks, climb to page one and rank, and then raise my price back to my profitable price point. And so Etsy ads is essentially my whole launch strategy. So just break-even price, Etsy ads, 2 to 3 weeks, raise price. And that's how I grew my business to so many sales in 3 years. So 100% yes. Alternatively, you can just be organic, find the success, but it's just significantly slower versus just paying ads for 2 weeks and getting to page one where you're making significantly more sales on day 3 or week 3, 4, 5, 6. With my strategy too is I break even, but I mark up my shipping by $2. So the profit on the shipping is paying for the ads. So it's almost like it's a self-paying, self-ranking strategy through Etsy ads for 2-3 weeks, raise price, profitable on the customer's time.
And it also helps too, because if you're slipping and you happen to be like the third or fourth row down or off page one and you got that ad spend, then it puts you right above all the new results, right? So
yeah, there is, like you're saying, if you're on page 2, I think there's a statistic, at least it was for Amazon, so it's probably true for Etsy as well, as 80% of sales for a given search term require on page 1, and 80% of the 80% are on the top half of page 1. So if you're on page 2, you're only getting like that 20%, not the 80%. So turning on Etsy ads just to get a few more sales, because sales velocity is the number one variable to drive rank. They go from page 2 to page 1, and also your ad placement on page 1 too, but you're organic. You'll just get way more organic sales, way more money than you spent to get there. So it is one of very few levers that you can pull to grow your business.
Yeah, I'll field John's question, the last one of the day. Thank you guys for tuning in this far. So I started Etsy, they suspended my store as I said above, and I moved to MBA, which is merch by Amazon, but the process is slow, and I'm considering moving to Shopify. I mean, if you're stuck in the tier, then, like I said, just remove the listings that haven't sold and redo them. But yeah, I wouldn't just put all your eggs in one basket anyway. Go to Shopify, appeal Etsy's suspension. Leverage all the different ways you can do it. You can create a Seller Central account again, and then use Printify to fulfill those orders as well. So there's lots of avenues. I would not ever sit around waiting for something to change. Right? You got to go get it. Yeah. All right. I think that about does it for today. Thanks so much, folks, for tuning in. We're well over our hour mark. Thank you so much, Stephen. It's always a treat. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you're absolutely crushing it. So I'm excited to see where Hello Custom goes this 2024.
Awesome, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. Hopefully we're able to deliver on our promise. Ask me anything, answer any questions, get over any sticking points. Thank you guys so much.
All right, tune in next week, guys. Same thing every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. I'm going to have a new guest every week. So thank you all for tuning in. Again, love you all. I'll catch you in the next one. And stream.